Thank you for watching RGCWV Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. I am your host, Luke Hersey, and with me tonight is Alex McLean and Mike Mallow. We are all long-time Final Fantasy friends and long-time Final Fantasy theorists. And because of that, we have a lot of things to talk about the new game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which, as Mike has put it, the meat and potatoes of the Final Fantasy VII game. I kind of agree with him. I didn't think about it until after he had mentioned, but it is actually my favorite part of that game. Yes, the last act is very good, but this middle act is so fantastic. So, 9, 8,
Are you putting something on the screen?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
Spoiler. And really, avoid spoilers, folks. That if you haven't played the game yet, a lot of the excitement is the surprise.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really good surprises in this. Ones that you do not expect.
Mm-hmm.
That we will talk about
right
that
now.
You should experience for yourself. So, gentlemen, mental gin. Okay. I'm gonna start with the flashback. Okay? I'm gonna start with the flashback. I like how well they did. I like how well they didn't change a lot in the flashback. I'm actually gonna kind of do a gripe, and I think this has to do with the current graphical presentation. I was underwhelmed by Seth Roth walking into the fire. I remember seeing that for the first time for the OG, and I was like, "God, that's cool!" And now I'm like,
My peeve for that scene was not that, but the lead up to it when you have to do the control commands to crawl.
Yeah,
and the slow killing of everybody around him.
Yeah, as you're doing it, like people are standing there with guns and not shooting him when they really need to be doing that.
Yeah, what was up with that? I mean, they weren't going to do anything, even if they did kill him or did shoot him. They weren't going to do anything.
Because it needed to be dramatic.
It needed to be dramatic. Pound my chest.
That's the real reason. Also, keep in mind that this is Cloud's telling of a story. That think this could be an unreliable narrator sort of thing.
That's true.
Maybe that's the way Cloud told it. They were just standing there, and Sephiroth just cut them down one by one.
That is true, because in essence, it is the unreliable narrator scenario.
And if we know the original game, Cloud is an extremely unreliable. Literally nothing that he's saying is factually correct.
Which, by the way, everybody was harping on Cloud's character model in that section, and I actually think they did pretty darn well blending Zack's positive facial features with Cloud's on purpose. I think it was on purpose. I feel like it was on purpose.
That makes sense. And from there, I do appreciate that they call Cloud out on it right away, because that was the biggest gap I thought in the original game, is that they just kind of let him tell the story with no pushback whatsoever until like everything falls apart later, a lot later.
It's also one of the big changes is when that story takes place in the chronology of things, that he doesn't tell that until they go to Nibelheim, do they? In the original game.
Right.
Like, this is telling that part of the story much, much earlier. I think.
No, because it starts out with them in Nibelheim. Because the game leaves off with them traveling to Nibelheim. They are in
Mhm.
Nibelheim when he's telling the story.
Yeah.
So, so moving on, I'm gonna have to say that I wrote this down in the first in the grasslands area. In the grasslands area, there is so much to do in every single region of this game that you can spend hundreds of hours, and yeah, I did spend hundreds of hours on this game and never really feel bored. But I mean, in terms of Mike's first playthrough, you can beeline just the story and not be bored. Which, by the way, Mike, how many hours did it take for you to beelining?
I want to say it was just like around 40. I know it was more than what 16 was, and I did 16 under 40. But yeah, and I just did the things that were necessary and a few things that I thought were interesting. Just like the towers, I did when I saw them, but like most of like the proto relics, I didn't touch at all.
Yeah.
Until I went back, like things like that. I mainlined it. I did it in a week, I believe, something like that.
Well, you didn't want to get. You were so worried about getting spoiled by spoilers that
I spent a lot of time on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
It's inevitable when you hang out there too long.
So we talked about this a little bit before about the remixing of some story elements. One of the things that I wanted to talk about that came up next after the grass, or in the middle of the grasslands part, was the Midgar beast, or the snake. When Cloud went under in the swamp and encountered a Sephiroth clone, or Sephiroth, and it was Cloud himself that took out the beast and not the Sephiroth clone, but then the snake ends up in the same kind of position as in the OG. Like, so many times, so many times they remixed this story, and they did it in such a fantastical, satisfying way. A way that made it worth it for a person who's played the original a million times. Be entertained. Are you not entertained?
No, it really is so much attention to detail for things like that.
Yeah.
You didn't get to say the line, though. Did Sephiroth do this?
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. They did. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This is spoilers time. What other things could we not talk about in the first part?
Well, I mean, I do have a list, a chronological list, so I think I will go over some stuff. But I mean, I mean, I'm getting to the Junon part here in a few minutes. I did want to talk about the next section of the game, though. The Mithril Mine.
Mm-hmm.
That was so much better. It was. Yeah. I actually remember that being one of my least favorite parts, and one of the most annoying parts of the original game that I just wanted to be over.
Yeah, agreed.
But how they did it in this, they made it feel like a unskippable section of the game. One that's worth it to play, worth it to experience, because the new cutscenes were great, and the new battles were great. By the way, the Elena and Rude first time that you fight them, so good, so good. What was your strategy in those battles?
Elena first.
Yeah. Same. Just take out Elena.
I love what they did with her character. She's got a feistiness about her that is no other characters like that, and it's fantastic.
She kind of reminded me a little bit of Kyrie.
Yeah, she's got a petulance to her that's just fantastic, though. Her delivery is the opposite of Kyrie's.
Yeah.
So
I like that they made the Turks a little bit funny. That just there are lighthearted moments with the Turks, and
they were funny in the original.
They were funnier. They were funnier here.
Oh yeah, no, but that's the thing. This game is so over the top of the original.
I know.
They tried to outdo themselves, and they succeeded in every facet, it seemed like.
The Bald Guys Club, was that in the original? Was the Bald Guys Club?
There was a club, but I don't think it was Bald Guys.
Yeah.
Rude was there, I remember, but I don't think it was. It was just a bar, I think.
It was just a bar.
Yeah. Rude is a member of the Bald Men's Club. And, and that's
squeak.
how they know, you go to the door, you got to squeak your bald head, and it's all bald guys.
Do you think it's like a turtle wax or a Tonnenberry wax?
I don't know, man.
Are we too Junon now?
Yeah, and actually that was what I was gonna I was going to mention before actually June. I don't know where you guys' first exposure was to this, but mine was in Junon, and I went back and played it in the Grasslands. I did not care for the Moggle House at all.
Oh, yeah, they were the worst.
At all.
I think that's probably the worst minigame. I did all of them.
I did all of them too. But my God, they were dumb. And, I mean, we were talking about graphical style earlier. That's the thing, too. It seemed out of place.
The last one had a pretty good payoff, though.
Yeah.
And its goofiness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember
yeah.
now.
Kupo.
Oh.
/ Kupo.
Just hear Cloud say Kupo.
And fly for a minute. What a fantastic conclusion. Was not worth it, though. Was not worth it.
Maybe not.
It's fine.
But Upper Junon was like the first part of the game where, like, up until that point, it felt just like Remake to me. Like the open world was great and the calm was great, but getting to Upper Junon, like that was when like the joy in me hit full throttle. When you got to dress as the soldier and like go around the town and talk to the people. Yeah, that's just when like I was just full of glee from there clear through Corel. Now, at that point,
right before that, though, the I had written down about the bosses, how they remixed a lot of the boss battles and made them more over the top. I kind of felt like they were doing a really good job with it, but that first battle, under Junon, that like sea creature that you fight, that was great. That was really, really good.
People joked after Remake came out about how they were going to do the dolphin, and it had like funny memes about it with like dolphins or rainbows and things like that. And I feel like they just leaned right into that. Yeah, they weren't even trying to like be gritty about it or anything.
Right?
They're like, here's your dolphin and your rainbows.
Yeah.
And they made a mini game out of it.
Yeah. It's like Wave Race or something.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. It was Wave Race.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Man. Yeah, the dolphin was really, really good. But going back to what Mike was talking about, though, like, you're right. Like, that whole above Junon, the cutscenes, going around finding the soldiers at the different place, the bald bar, the bald heads bar, or what was it called? The bald heads bar?
I don't remember.
It's the bald heads bar. Squeak squeak. That was great. Did you find Elena up there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she was at a
Yeah.
VIP bar or whatever.
Yeah,
And
she was like depressed.
yeah, she was depressed, and because you were in costume, she actually like talked to you, not as Cloud, and it was like, I don't know, I kind of felt like bad for her. But yeah. Oh, right before you get to Upper Junon, and throughout the whole game, can we take a second to talk about Roach?
Roshi.
Yeah.
I really started to love him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
He was just the guy that just wanted to be this wanted a good challenge. He didn't care if he lost. He didn't care if he won. He just loved the game, and he wanted to play it. And to continue playing the game, he had such a... I mean, for me, who started to love the character, a heart-wrenching ending. My gosh, I really wanted him to be, like...
Cut down in his prime, and cut down at, like, the peak of his enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That scene with him in Cloud, in Upper Junon, in the roller dome or whatever, the big underdome, that was not only just a fun battle, but that was a so Roach battle. I loved everything about it. I'm yeah.
As the kids say these days, that's so extra. Oh, yeah. Made everybody cringe on that one.
I'm not a big one-on-one fighter, so those I didn't enjoy as much. Him and Rufus, those are the ones that I cringe about.
Rufus was a tough fight.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah,
that was the first one I put on easy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was how I was in Remake, the Rufus battle. That was the one that I felt uneasy. That I felt like I was actually going to lose and could not get past it, and was going to have to dumb down the difficulty level. And I didn't, just barely. But yeah. Oh. Also talking about Upper Junon, the parade sequence.
Oh, it was everything the dance number was in
and
Remake.
More.
And just turned up to 11. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. I thought the OG version was kind of sloppy, actually. I never did good on it, and I never really tried.
Same.
So that was much improved.
I think that... I really liked that you got to stack it, too, where you got, like, three different dance numbers, and just... They were just a joy to play. In fact... That is one mini game that I wish had showed up at Gold Saucer later.
Yeah, I want to replay that.
Yeah.
Now, I was determined to replay that until I got a high enough score to get the trophy for it. I wanted to get that perfect. And I eventually did.
I am going back to do that at some point.
So, leaving Upper Junon, man, a lot happened at Upper Junon.
Yeah.
Like especially the actual speech that he had, and talking to Cloud and Aerith and Tifa, and actually conscripting them.
There you go.
To go after Sephiroth. Like, that was a good turn. I really liked how they did that. It made Rufus make more sense, because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to not be his father and make more sense and not do the dumb things that his father was doing was trying to chase vendettas and stuff like that. He ended up doing it anyway, but that's not how he started out. Why would he start out like that? Why would he?
Yeah.
So, I don't want to deal with this. You guys deal with it. I don't care about the vendetta your dad that you had with my dad. I don't care. You take care of my problem, and that's 2 problems fixed. You guys, and then this other thing. That makes sense.
That also establishes Rufus as being not on the side of Sephiroth. He is against Sephiroth. He doesn't want to continue that whole thing.
Right.
Rufus would rather live in a world without Sephiroth in it.
Yeah. And then we can worry about everything else.
Right.
Then we can worry about everything else. This obstacle needs to be taken out. And you guys seem to be able to do that. That makes sense to me. Makes
Or they'll solve each other.
Yeah. Before I go on to my next point, I thought of something. How much did you like being able to be the commander of the unit when trying to escape from Upper Junon?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted more of that.
Well, I heard a fun theory about that the other day that I kind of hope comes to pass, and that's that they will eventually become your pilot crew when you take the high one in the 3rd one.
Oh, that'll be so cool if that's how it happens.
Yes! That would be
someone said that, and
perfect.
I'm here
Got
for
all
that.
my guys out alive. Nobody left behind.
Oh, you know what would be going along with that? That's how they end up getting Highwind. They hijack Highwind and take it to Cloud in the team. Because that would explain Sid being able to get it. Yeah, I hope that happens. Gosh, I didn't even think of that. What did you think of the side mission where they show up later?
I was kind of lukewarm to that.
I kind of liked it. I just kind of liked, I liked those guys so much that them showing up again was like, yeah.
I think I was worried about them dying at that point, and worried about disappointing them when they found out that I was their enemy. But it didn't happen, so that was nice.
So moving on to the ship, to the cruise ship. I thought it was fine. I thought Barrett being in the soldier uniform was great, especially that he liked it more than he thought he would, and I liked that commentary. I thought that was really good.
And Barrett you can keep it on for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Barrett needs to be a little goofy some of the time.
Yeah. Man, how great did they do on Barrett? How great did they do on him?
That's what I thought in Remake. And they just keep getting better with him.
Right. He's starting to steal the show. If this was a movie, that side character stole the show.
When they first go into the town that he's from, what's it called again? When they first go into Corel and he puts the sunglasses on.
Yeah.
That was the shit. Yeah,
I
noticed that.
That's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to jump ahead too much.
Yeah,
I don't want to flip flop all over the place. But we're on the ship. Sorry, it was my fault. I talked about how great Barrett is, and we're all chomping at the bit to talk about Barrett.
Red 13. If you didn't get Red 13 in the soldier costume, that was so hilarious.
Red 13 showing up at the Queen's Blood tournament. When I saw him do that, I actually exclaimed in giddy joyousness.
Yeah.
about him showing. It was so perfect.
What I love is he does the moonwalk and all the Michael Jackson moves.
Oh yeah.
the soundtrack to that is literally like Michael Jackson riffs the whole way through. It's fantastic.
Yeah. In you know, him actually being a like good Queen's Blood challenge was very, very fitting. Very fitting. I and we've already talked about how great Queen's Blood was. So I don't think we need to say it again. But you know, let's just say it again. Queen's Blood's fucking awesome.
And you know, you can say no to that. Whenever they ask if you want to join the Queen's Blood tournament, you can say no, and it will skip that entire section.
Why would you?
No.
Up until that point, I wasn't fully committed to Queen's Blood, and when I got there, I was like, well, I'm only on the ship this one time, so I got to do it. So I had to get really good at Queen's Blood really fast, and because I don't read tutorials, so I have to piece things together myself. And so I got it figured out pretty quick, though, and it didn't take me too long to crush everybody.
I was a big Gwent player in Witcher 3. So, gosh, this wasn't too far departed, let's say that, from Gwent. So I kind of got it, you know, right off the bat. I like card games. I mean, shoot, I play Snap almost every day, Marvel Snap. Just a couple rounds because it's so fun, and it only takes a minute to do it. But I mean, we can geek out about Marvel Snap all we want. But yeah, Red 13 showing up in the you know, Sephiroth assaulting the ship and turning the actual clones into monsters should have been the highlight of the ship, but it wasn't. It was Red 13.
Well,
yeah, it was.
Just because that was expected. Red pulling some dance moves. I mean, he was kind of to be expected too because he was in the suit in the original too. But
a lot of people thought that they weren't going to do that.
Exactly.
In the fact that they did do it, it's just girlish screams. Okay. Oh, this is something that me and Alex talked about, and I kind of want to get your take on it too, Mike. Especially since you have a daughter. I have a daughter too. Yuffie. They had a chance to over-sexualize a character. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. And especially with the conversation that people have been having about Stellar Blade. I mean, Tifa's in there. And they could have over-sexualized her, too. I mean, you can't dumb her down too much, because then people will get mad. But I just appreciate how they handled the situation. How they handled all of this. I don't know how else to thread that needle. Any thoughts, Mike?
Well, I mean, Yuffie's kind of a funny story because, like, when the original game came out, she was our age. And so, you know, 20-some years on, and it kind of changes the narrative considerably.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad they left her as she was, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can agree that they refrained from making any distasteful design decisions, which is sometimes a bit much to ask.
That's exactly the word that I was looking for. Thank you, Alex. That was perfect. Distasteful design decisions. That's good. I like that.
I don't get described as perfect very often.
I didn't say you were perfect. I said that how you described it was perfect.
Oh.
Don't mince.
Let me have this.
You are perfect in every way, Alex.
Oh, thank you. I was beginning to doubt myself.
That does kind of play into like how they handled like Tifa's scar and her trauma around her scar, where they could have really kind of got into that, like, it's on her chest, wink, wink, but they actually went way more tasteful than I expected them to.
Yeah, right? I thought that too. I thought that too. And you know what? Well, I'm just going to say it. As well endowed as Tifa is, she is an athletic person. The moves that she does is very athletic. So her wearing a sports bra makes sense. I applaud Square for doing a make sense change with her, not even her character model, just the way that they handled her. I applaud them for just making sense rather than just fan service of a certain subsect.
We should keep on subject, though.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just it's something that's been on my mind with the whole Stellar Blade thing. That it's just I yeah. No, you're right though. Let's keep going. Okay. Gilgamesh. I don't know where you guys first had your exposure to Gilgamesh. Mine was in the Junon region with the Fort Condor game. But others that was not until after the cruise line in the Corel region. What'd you guys think of Gilgamesh? Somebody
magnanimous.
Good answer.
He was fantastically goofy, and he was
brilliant.
He was his design was imposing, but his personality was goofy AF.
He was a ham for sure. That was one of those where I thought I enjoyed it, but I also thought they didn't have to do this. They could have put some of these assets into the next one. I would have been fine with that too.
And I've heard that voice actor before, and I forget who it is, but every time that I hear him in anything, cartoon, anime, whatever, I always like it, and I forget who it is. Alex, can you look that up for me, please?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm pretty sure he does something in 14 as well.
But he's fantastic. His delivery is fantastic, and Gilgamesh as a character was just a great addition into this game because it wasn't in the OG. Gilgamesh was not in the OG, so that was something that they didn't even have to include, and
exactly.
Yeah, they put him in there, and they made him like, my complaint a little bit was they didn't put enough like hard to find things or hard to get things. Gilgamesh's final form was hard to get.
Gilgamesh is the English voice actor is a Keith Zarabajka. I don't recognize the name. And the Japanese voice actor is a Kazuya Nakai.
What are some of the other things that he's done? Because I kind of feel like he was in Full Metal Alchemist
he is Gilgamesh and some other things. So yeah, God, he's done a lot of stuff.
I know I've heard him before, and I've heard him in a lot of things.
He was Gilgamesh in World of Final Fantasy. Never played that, Silverback in Batman Unlimited. He was several characters in Star Wars Rebels. I don't want to get on a tangent on this, though.
That's probably why I read him.
That's where I know him from. He was in Rebels.
He was in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing as Krang.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Gilgamesh, fantastic addition. I'm glad that they added him in. He just added so much to it. Okay. Um, I have more notes about the next region. So, what do you guys have about the Corel region that you want to talk about?
Costa del Sol was my absolute favorite place. They amped that up so much. Like I spent probably the most time hanging out there than anywhere else. You know, when I was going through on my first playthrough, like I think I kind of hung around and did everything I could do there before I moved on, just because I was having such a blast there.
How great was the Red 13 soccer game?
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. It was fun. It was like, I don't know, Rocket League. It was almost like
yeah.
Rocket League.
It was. Yeah.
Now, all right. Before we move on to the next region, I have a lot of notes on Gingaga. I want to talk about Corel, specifically Barrett. We started talking about Barrett before, and I want to take a minute to talk about Barrett. I know you guys have thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish what I was when he puts the sunglasses on. It's both awesome and emotional because you know why he puts the sunglasses on.
Yeah.
You know, this is a sad place for him.
I mean, and they reused that several times throughout the game
Mm-hmm.
as a narrative device to show he's gonna keep on the exterior of the tough guy, but he is getting emotional.
And he kind of has those ticks in Remake too. I noticed, like in the subway scene, he kind of goes back and forth with the sunglasses. He's talking about his mission and why it's important to him. So they kind of do establish that, and the fact that it's a visual thing and not like a thing that they explain is very well done.
It's something,
Showing
and
not telling is a very good narrative device.
I am a sucker for that kind of character, the tough guy with a heart of gold. And Barrett's like that many times throughout the. It's much later in the game, in the play that you have in the Gold Saucer, that like
which comes much later.
Which comes much later. Well, no, it was the music number. It was the music number where Jesse. There's a hologram of Jesse singing.
That was the second time that you go to Gold Saucer.
Yeah. They briefly show everybody's reactions. Barrett covers his eyes.
Yeah.
And nobody else had that reaction. He's such an emotional character. Yeah, kind of. But yeah, it is a split second, blink and you'll miss it. But yeah, Barrett covers his eyes whenever the camera points to him.
All right. So Barrett and Dino.
Dine.
Okay. It was a comment that I read in a comment section that it's just a small thing. It's a small nitpick that, and I'm asking for more things to be added to a game that already has more things. But do you think it's kind of weird that Barrett's dialogue doesn't change, like whenever he's fighting Dine? That Barrett he says these, asshole, caught you sleeping. It seems like he wouldn't say that to Dine. Several of his taunting lines,
Oh.
It seems like he wouldn't say that to Dine. Maybe they could have just turned off some of his voice lines, or
I'm gonna fill you full of holes.
Yeah, why would he say that? Like, he doesn't want to kill the guy.
I mean, even if they just added a few lines of "Please don't make me do this."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you in real trouble now. Like,
yeah, no, that's true. I don't know why I kept calling him Dine. Yeah, I will have to say though that I kind of lost it when he left Marlene's picture at Dine's grave.
Yeah.
That kind of really hit me.
There was 2 scenes of the game where I lost it, and that was that whole sequence. Well, at the end of the sequence was one of them. The other one was later, which we'll get to.
If you remember from the last episode that we did on the anticipation of this was the section of the game that I was most anticipating.
Yep.
The theatrics that were never in the OG. And I feel like that's something that they went really they rewarded me. They rewarded me for my desire to want that.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint.
No. Okay. So I don't know what everybody's else's favorite region was, but mine was Gungaga. I loved the crap out of Gungaga.
That was another one.
Every little twist and turn, and the thing that I really so in the OG, my favorite place to level was the jungle region right outside of Cosmo Canyon. They took the stylization of that small jungle region and made that Gungaga, and I loved it so much.
Yeah, that was one where they went hard, and I was glad that they did. The village and everything around it, just the way it was set up is magnificent. A little mazy, but it's not hard to figure out.
The musical score.
Yeah.
The little
It's
kids.
the
little
region.
kids yelling in the background. Yeah. Yeah.
Something about a mongoose, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It is the hardest region to navigate.
But that I like that sometimes.
But it's a jungle. What do you expect?
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't always want to be able to just completely rely on the minimap. Because if I am, that's all I'm doing. I'm relying on the minimap. They did a fantastic job of making it so that, that put me on a platform that I did not expect. I guess I'm going to have to go back down. But, I mean, if you've ever walked through the forest before, that's how this shit is.
I don't think the minimap helped that much in that region, to be honest.
It didn't at the beginning. After I got used to it, it did. Though, in one part, though, I was trying to get at, it actually confused me more, and I ended up getting lost worse. And not until I just kept trying to go through every twist did I finally get where I was going, and I wasn't even using the minimap. So...
And it's a more emotional area too, because like in the original, you know, if Aerith is in your party, then you get a scene with Zack's parents, and that's kind of emotional. But like everybody's waiting on Zack now, and the longer you stay in that region, the more you feel the impact of his absence.
I actually, now that you mentioned Zack, I do wanted to mention something. So, after Cloud, remember Zack? I wanted a scene when I went back to Gungaga that if I went into the parents' house, that he had a scene with, I do remember Zack, and he was great. And I did that. I did that, seeing if there was a cutscene, and there wasn't. And I was actually kind of a little aggravated, like, why didn't you add this in? But in the same respect, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Cloud wouldn't have done that. Cloud's not that kind of person. He doesn't seek out conversation. He talks only when he absolutely needs to.
I did pretty much all of Sesame story after I finished the game, so he definitely would have said something then, and he did not.
Yeah.
Of course, Sesame doesn't either, which is kind of frustrating, but I guess they need to have her say something in the third part.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh, we kind of skipped over that. Yeah, we did that. We talked about that. Oh, you just mentioned that Cisne. Cisne was it was a nice surprise. It was a nice surprise. And I tell you what, with her side quest, it explained, because you were wondering the whole time, why is she there? It explained why she's there. So I liked that.
Yeah, that was one of my speculations going in, was like, are they going to introduce anything from Crisis Core? Yeah. And I think the fact that they did opens up the gate for more things from Crisis Core to show up in Part 3.
Do you think that Angeal is going to show up in Part 3? Or Genesis?
Or Genesis? They're still relevant.
I will point out one thing. Genesis's wing, because Genesis has one wing too. Genesis's wing is on the opposite side of Sephiroth's.
Mm-hmm.
Almost alluding to the fact that they are two sides of Genova.
Mm-hmm. Sephiroth's motivation is inspired by Genesis. Like, he is following in Genesis' footsteps.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a new song called Two Winged Angel if they get together.
Yeah. I really hope that they actually do a like fantastical score of the one winged angel.
Oh,
I'm sure they will.
I would be remiss not to say that I'd be very disappointed if they didn't do that.
Yes, there will be a over the top, Gregorian monk chanting.
So
in Latin and stuff.
All the Latin.
So, finishing up the Gingaga region, one of the reasons why I loved it so much wasn't just because of the level design and everything, but the actual Gingaga reactor. That whole sequence was not only fantastic leading up to it, but I will point out a story element that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I want to talk about it myself. There was so many opportunities for them to use blood. So many opportunities. And it would have been fine if they used it. But the thing that was really great about the fact that they didn't use it was when Cloud brutally killed those soldiers, he got splattered with blood. And it created the shock value that was necessary. And if they had put in the blood, that shock wouldn't have been so stark. And I loved it. I loved that directorial choice.
It's true. Whenever you have blood all the time, you get desensitized to it. But whenever you have blood,
turns out Congress is right.
Let's not go that far. But yeah, it reduces, desensitizes to it. It doesn't make a point whenever there is blood. And this is the moment when we realize that, like, yes, Sephiroth can control Cloud. Like, they're the same. He has anybody with Genova's blood can be controlled by Sephiroth.
I think that at that point, though, I don't know if that was the Gingaga reactor. I don't think that was necessarily the point that they were trying to articulate. Not necessarily that Cloud was being controlled by Sephiroth, but that Cloud is losing his mind.
Yeah.
Cloud is losing his mind.
Well, I mean, his mind has always been fractured.
Yes.
From the very beginning, his mind has been not in one piece.
Ever since he joined Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Before he joined Soldier, he was always still a stoic, unfeeling boy. After Soldier, he became a stoic, unfeeling killing machine. That is all the makings of a sociopath. No, psychopath. Psychopath. He doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Because yeah, psychopath. That is the making of a psychopath. What do you think, Mike?
I agree with that. The other point I want to make with the sequence is they keep introducing these new weapons that weren't necessarily in the original that swim in these reactors, and I think they are doing something that's going to pay off in the final installment, which is they're going to represent the huge materia. And the reason that has to happen is because there is no Corel reactor in this version. It was completely destroyed, and in the third part, they take huge materia out of the Corel reactor, so they're going to have to be the substitute for that, I'm assuming and or guessing.
Yeah. I mean, Yuffie mentions that specifically.
Yeah.
And I think there was a reason for that.
Yeah, same.
So going back to the reactor, the most surprising part of the entire game, the entire story to me, was when Cloud tries to kill Tifa and knocks her into the live stream. I remember sitting forward with my jaw on the floor going, what the hell is going on? What is happening right now? And loving every second of it. It was just so good. It was so well done.
Yeah. That was the first time I think the game really took just a hard left turn into this is totally new territory. Right. That was the first time. This one seemed a lot more, just in general, basically staying along the lines of the original game. Just in general, they were...
In general, yeah.
Yeah, they were just reliving the original game.
I will say, though, her coming back and forgiving Cloud and wanting to work with him to help him through whatever he's dealing with. I don't know about you guys, but I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
That whole scene, like Cloud wanting to just give up and not leave the group, and Tifa just totally bringing him around. That felt real. It wasn't just a story anymore. Like I really felt like the director, scriptwriter, somebody has experienced that before and put that into the story directly, because the weight that they put in there was so real that you rarely see that in any media. I think that right there not only sets this game apart from not only being a better iteration than its original. I'm sorry guys, I'm going to say it. I think that it is striving to be better than its original. Not until the third part do we actually know. But I think that right there justifies my 10.
All right.
So, which, by the way, if you ever want to watch a anime that has the same heart of forgiveness, watch the anime A Quiet Voice. Such a good movie. Watch that movie. So good. Anyway, Anyway, okay.
When are we going to get to the ending?
Well, I have the chicken side quest. I have that.
That's the funniest side quest.
That is by far like the most annoying side quest to actually do, but its payoff is so worth it.
The official Final Fantasy VII feed the other day made reference to it.
Really?
like how you enjoy those chickens, or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but something like that. And
say good night, Stephanie.
So this was the part to skip ahead slightly. I came back and played that scene, and Luke obviously played it before he got to Cosmo Canyon, and Red's dialogue is completely different between what I got and what he got because of the character shift. Once you get to Cosmo Canyon, he did it. He did it in the post Cosmo Canyon voice.
My God! Every time that he shifts over to the other voice after his voice changes, like with the pirates, like the Corsair
Yeah.
parts, I'm like, come on, dude, just stop doing that. You're just making me miss the old voice even more. Not fun. Not cool.
That is something. I don't like the little kid voice that he switches over to. I don't know.
I kind of ding him on that as well. And, it's one thing to change the voice, which I'd be fine with, but to change, like, your whole personality, too, that's where I kind of got annoyed with it. And I was kind of hoping that they would just have him be that way at Cosmo Canyon, and once you leave, he'd kind of go back.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that, and that was kind of disappointing.
Now, Luke reminded me that in the original game, in Cosmo Canyon, Red does have a lot of uncharacteristically juvenile expressions.
Expressions, dialogue choices, and stuff like that, signifying that he's comfortable with his friends now, and that's fine. That's fine. But give me one or the other. Give me the voice and the childlike sayings in dialogue choices, or give me the voice and still talk like an adult. Don't do both.
No, I think they can do both. And I think, his old stoic kind of voice. That is how I always imagined he would speak, for one thing. For that voice to say juvenile things, I think that would have been better overall and just more amusing to hear that, can we go for a walk? Can we? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
That would have made it so much better. I would have loved it.
Like, but in that, deep, wise old voice.
Instead, he sounds like Sonic the Red Hog.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next point, Sid's character. Do you guys like the change?
It remains to be seen.
There's not much of him.
I like one of the things that they did with him, which was remix him to make world travel make more sense. I like that. Also, I never really loved how much of an asshole he was in the original. I kind of like him better this way.
I don't think what they have changed so far is necessarily a change as much as it is an addition. We just haven't seen like his full story yet. So I think once you tie it back into the actual story,
do you think we're still going to get Rocket? Sense. Do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll get it. I think we'll get it early in the next game. Actually, is my theory.
Oh, talking about the huge materia. Them trying to destroy the meteor. If they don't go back to Rocket, that part doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And they're going to have to include that because what else are they going to put in? Obviously, they're going to do Wutai. Obviously, they're still going to do the Northern Village, but after Rocket, well, like, what else is there?
Medieval.
I mean, you go back to Midgar, which, truthfully, when you go back to Midgar in the third act, I really hope that they open up the city more.
I don't think they got the space to.
I don't care. I don't
adding
care.
everything else in.
I don't care. Okay. All right. Least favorite section of the game. I kind of, at least as far as like free roam, I kind of hated Cosmo Canyon. I kind of didn't like it at all. I thought it didn't make sense. Like the floating balloons in random places, I didn't like. Okay, like the Gingaga region with the launch pad mushrooms. Okay, whatever. All right. With the cliff sides that could only be climbed up by a chocobo. Okay, whatever. That's fine.
I didn't like those because they were slow.
In the Nibelheim region, certain sections can only be reached by a chocobo that shoots water out of its butt. Like,
I think Nibelheim was my least favorite region.
Oh, I actually like Nibelheim a lot.
Eh.
But anyway,
it was okay.
Yeah, Cosmo Canyon was kind of my least favorite.
I kind of felt the same about it as Gungaga, where it had a lot of things that I feel like I should have been able to get to them easy, but I cannot. I didn't hate it, and I didn't love it either, but it was okay. It was like Nibelheim.
Worst proto relic section of the game. Cosmo
Best
Canyon.
story though.
Oh yeah, well, I mean the Cosmo Canyon actual like the village with.
Well, I mean best proto relic. Best proto relic story.
Really?
Because you get to find out what happens to Wedge, which was kind of a question I had.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I actually forgot about that. Not that you get a conclusion of Wedge, but that it was tied to that part of the story. So
and that was another Barrett sunglasses moment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
The mini game though.
Okay. Here's another one. In the Cosmo Canyon, when you make the entire game fantastically visually appealing, it made the planetarium scene not as stand out. You know what I mean? The planetarium scene, I remember in the OG that planetarium scene just seemed so well done. So it stood out. Like in my memory, I can see that scene. You know? The planetarium scene in Final Fantasy Rebirth flashes. I kind of remember it a little bit. No, if they had just replayed that clip from the OG, I actually would have been more okay with that. I don't know. I thought
it was all right.
It's a gripe. However, the lantern scene, that was fantastic. That was magical. Do you know what scene I'm talking about, Alex?
Yes, I think I remember the lantern scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. I thought that and that was, you know how, Alex, we've talked about several story beats that the story isn't giving itself time to breathe. That was a breathing moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was take a beat and let's recognize everything that's happened. And I feel like that was it was a great addition to this game because it wasn't in the OG at all. They didn't have that in the
Mhm.
original. So, okay. The gi. How much better was the gi?
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of forgot about that in the old game.
Really?
Yeah, I they were in the old game, but I guess I just forgot about
They
them. It's been
were
a long time ago.
They were in the old
Huh.
game, but never ever were they so important in the full story arc.
Yeah. But basically, they're a boss fight in the original. They have a whole backstory that ties into the main like threat, which kind of came out of nowhere and made perfect sense.
I have a theory for the gi. So there were some people talking online that Genova was the first meteor that the gi tried to summon to destroy the world, and that didn't destroy the world. I have a theory that the gi and Genova came at the same time, and that Genova was the strongest of the gi. That's my theory. That's also why I think that even though, because Sephiroth is in essence a half-blood, a half Genova, half human, that's why I think that Sephiroth can be in the live stream. But he has not lost his spiritual or physical form or potency, because he is part gi.
Makes sense.
That's my theory. I don't know if we're gonna get that, but either way, the explanation of the gi and the creation of them creating the black materia makes so much sense.
Yep.
So, okay. Okay. Really enjoyed Aerith and Cloud on the water tower in the Nibelheim section.
Yeah.
I loved that moment. That was just like such a good little moment. Oh, is this where you used to sit to watch Aerith or watch Tifa? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
And then she's kind of in there waving at him, like, "Whoops."
Hi guys.
The Shinra Manor with Kate Sith was probably my least favorite part of the whole game.
Yeah,
Oh my.
yeah. Playing as just Kate Sith is rough.
Not only that, but that final boss battle when you're just as Kate Sith, that was brutal.
Yeah.
It was needlessly brutal.
He didn't improve much as a fighter.
Now, I'll tell you what
fun.
surprised me the most was I wasn't sure if Vincent would even be in it, and I was surprised how much Vincent was in it, and how cool he was in it. Like,
Vincent being a boss battle was awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
And he was a frequent speaker in the remainder of the game.
You know who that is? You know who
No.
Vincent is? That's Matthew
No.
Mercer.
Oh, okay.
That's Mr. D&D himself.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know he was tricked into doing that?
No.
Yeah, there's a whole video about it, but yeah, he was tricked into doing it, and he was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I was surprised how much Vincent we saw.
My absolute favorite part of the game, I think, was the moment when you leave Nibelheim on the plane, and he suddenly shows up to come with you.
Oh yeah.
And he just kind of quietly sits down, and then you realize for a moment, they have a wide shot, and you realize for a moment that the entire party's together for the first time. And like it
Oh,
just like
yeah, I
just
like that.
Mhm.
air out of my lungs. It was so nicely done.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think we're going to get any other party members in the next one?
I don't think so. I don't think so because every new character, and it's one of the masterful things of this game, every new character has a vastly different move set. And I think putting more in. Well,
Well,
it's been two every time, right? With
yeah.
with the DLC for remake, you get two more characters. This game, you get two more characters.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we got 3 versus the last one.
Sephiroth
We got Kate
and
Sith.
Zack.
We
Mhm.
got Yuffie, but we also got Red 13.
Oh yeah,
He
that's
didn't.
true.
We didn't get to
Okay,
play.
so that
Yeah, but he was introduced in the last one, so and he was a
right.
he
Also,
was,
I think an entirely original character or something, I think that would be poorly received.
because I mean, like
Yeah.
Cisne, if they threw her in, Cisne has a 4-pointed shuriken just like Yuffie. So I mean, that I feel like that's not gonna. Yeah, I was just people have been. I saw some people talking about it, and I thought it was worth mentioning. Okay,
Yeah.
we already talked about that. Okay, Loveless, the Loveless play when we go back to Gold Saucer.
It's such an important point of Crisis Core, the Loveless play, and it's pretty cool to actually see it.
Because Genesis is quoting it all the time.
Right, right.
Never have we gotten Loveless so well fleshed out. It's still not fleshed out its entirety.
Yeah,
But
it's an
it's pretty darn
extremely
close.
simplistic story.
Yeah.
Like that was my thinking.
Yeah, no, the Loveless play was great. And like Mike had mentioned, you know, the seeing Jesse in CGI, that, you know, Barrett got very emotional. But I gotta tell you, that song of Aerith at the end, I got emotional.
That was my second time. That and dying were the two.
That
Not anything after that.
because me as a veteran player of Final Fantasy, we all were playing this game going, are they gonna do this? Are they still gonna do this?
I was watching it thinking, this is literally her swan song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay. Oh, my date was Tifa. Who was you guys's?
Aerith.
Aerith.
Okay.
I went back and did Tifa on the replay though.
I haven't gone back and redid any of them.
So, okay, with Aerith, did Cloud kiss Aerith?
No, I don't believe he does at all.
Okay.
Even
So
on the one.
he kisses Tifa. I'm sorry. I'm Cloud and I have always been Team Cloud and Tifa.
Me too.
Okay.
Cloudy, I believe is what they call him.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. We already talked about that. Oh, what do you guys think about the fact that they moved the Temple of the Ancients to the north section?
I don't think it matters so much where it was.
I have no opinion on that.
It goes away in the end anyhow, so it doesn't super matter.
Okay, well, the reason why I wanted to mention it is I actually think it makes more sense because it's right next to the city of Ancients. So, the fact that they have it there, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The trials in the temple. Which one hit you guys the hardest?
Probably Aerith, because it just kept on going.
Yeah.
And kind of remembering what Hojo said, what he did to her mom after she died, was like I kept coming back to that.
Oh, right. I am reminded.
I mean, what
Yeah,
Hojo
I
said
skipped
to Red
over a lot of that
13
one.
was still pretty bad. But
Yeah.
yeah. But how much did you like the fact of how psychotic Hojo was portrayed in this? Like he was in Crisis Core, he was in Remake, but man, they dialed him up to crazy 11.
Is Hojo the most evil character? Because I think he is. I mean, Sephiroth wants to destroy the world, but Hojo, like, wants to make people suffer in freakish and unimaginable ways.
Right?
I mean, Hojo has basically enabled this whole saga, more or less.
Big time.
Yeah. He yeah, he has enabled this whole saga just to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
For funsies.
Yeah, he made Sephiroth and everything. You trying your best Hojo impression.
Killed Aerith's dad and chopped up her mom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about that ending?
Yeah, I think we're there. How many times did Cloud kill Sephiroth in this game? Because I lost count.
Well, 0.
0, yes. But how many
A
times
lot
did
of
he
clones, though.
kill Sephiroth clones?
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of being extra, we didn't need a 16-phase boss battle to close this thing out.
Yes, we did.
We needed Genova with Aerith's theme playing during it, and that was it. So I got through that. I was like, okay, it's over. And then 15 more phases. Oops.
Well, I will say, though, that they kind of needed to outdo themselves because they outdid themselves with the final section of the last game. Because remember, they have broken these up into 3 different games. So this is the final section of this game. They kind of needed to do a little bit more. And I don't think we're going to get the giant Sephiroth that we had at the end of the OG. So if they hadn't have put the giant Sephiroth in this one, people would have been mad.
Well, yeah, we basically fought Bizarro Sephiroth here. They took Bizarro Sephiroth from the final battle and put him at the end of the second game. Presumably, we're going to get something new. Now, I mean, yes, they will have made a terrible. You will see the one-winged angel, Seraph Sephiroth. That will happen.
Oh yeah.
That would be such a vast deviation that they would never leave out the coolest part.
One of the things that I really liked about the original was that you were fighting 2 different sides of Bizarro Sephiroth, and they did that in this.
Mm-hmm.
But not just 2 different sections, but separate timeline Bizarro Sephiroths.
If I understand correctly, I believe there is 6 or maybe 7 separate timelines that I've read about this online, seen other people's theories that because there are some of them that we don't know what timeline they are, so they could be one of the existing timelines or they could be an unknown, a new timeline. And there is one where Aerith lives.
I mean, seeing different stamps in different timelines, that's an obvious visual cue, but I think that it goes much deeper than that. It's
with the materia, the white materia, whether it's empty or full.
Yeah.
And where they are on passing that between each other.
Yeah. So, I was talking about a theory that I had, and I'm going to go ahead and use that here because we're talking about timelines now. Um, I noticed a detail, a visual cue that I hadn't noticed when I was originally playing. Whenever we see, because there was different auras throughout the game, there is a distinct aura that I think indicates when the timelines are merging, and it's rainbow colored.
Yeah.
The aura around everything when Cloud first picks up Aerith after he comes back. By the way, that final sequence, I did it so many times. I probably did it like 20 times before I dumped down the difficulty. But one thing I never got tired of, even though I had to do that several times, I never got tired of seeing Aerith walk through that portal, saying, "Let's finish this together." Oh my gosh! What, are you trying to make me cry like a 10th time? Gosh. But no. After that, when Cloud picks her up, the aura around it is green. And then when he tells her to wake up and she opens her eyes, the aura is rainbow colored.
The entire sequence, and there's a visual language to art. The entire sequence has a lot of color-coded visualizations. The Beagle universe, or the Prime universe, is blue. Genova is purple. The other timelines that kind of don't matter are orange. And and you'll notice that just a lot of things are orange, and any of the Zack timelines are predominantly orange colored.
So going back to the rainbow aura,
the rainbow aura is the one where Aerith lives.
The rainbow aura is the aura color that's around the rift that Cloud sees in the sky. So yeah.
Or is that just the worlds that have merged?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that's what it signifies, is that that there is a merging of timelines. I don't think that the merging is final.
I think the usage of color is intentional for you to subconsciously differentiate between them.
Which is hard on the first playthrough.
So yeah, I don't fully understand the ending myself.
I'm going to trust that the third part's going to tie it up. So I reserve my opinion on it for now.
Well, let's just hope and pray that the investors meeting goes well, because Cloud is or because Square is apparently killing a bunch of projects because they've lost a lot of money over this last year.
Huh. I haven't kept up with news like that, but that surprises me.
It actually just they have announced a unfounded or unconscionable loss, and that's how it'll be tracked on the books. But there's a lot of projects. One that was apparently a Super Nintendo remake that they've canceled. I don't think it was Final Fantasy VI. I think it was Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger. If I were to guess, because if there was any ones that they were actually like trying really hard to make an awesome remake, that would have taken a lot to do, I think it would have been Chrono Trigger. Anyway, so going back to what I was saying though, I hope that a third chapter happens. But you know what? I'm gonna go on record, even if I don't get a third chapter, I'm actually okay with that. I would actually be okay with that because I know they keep some cliffhangers. But they kind of left it open but closed up a lot. Enough for this specific story. I want a third one. I do. I absolutely do want a third one.
I don't think they would cancel this just because it's already underway, and it's not losing money. It's just not making the money that they thought it was going to. But everything else, I put into question though.
They compare it. They have compared the sales to be vastly beneath the last one. And the thing that I think a lot of companies need to recognize is that this game came out in 2020. There was a lot of people that aren't playing video games that were playing video games in 2020 that just didn't buy this one because they just don't have time for it right immediately when it comes out.
And if you look at the trophies, you'll find that only 40% of people who bought Remake actually finished it. So why would someone who didn't finish the game want to play the next one?
Right.
You know, so they should have accounted for that in looking at those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I don't have all the answers. I do think that they did so fantastic on this. I really want them to tie this out in a satisfying way. That's the thing. 3, I think, is going to be the most divergent from the actual original story.
Maybe.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially with how they are changing their handling of Wutai.
That's true.
The emissary of Wutai, I'm sorry, but there is actually going to be a war in this next one, and there wasn't in the last one. That's what they're leading up to, is a war with Wutai, a second war. And if there's a second war, that's a massive divergence.
True.
So, I don't know how to finish this, guys. I don't. You're going to have to help me.
Until part 3.
Until part 3. Yeah, that's good.
Welcome to the middle.
Yeah.
Inustana Sintari Zero Amenity Sephiroth. Dun 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 dun.
That was good. I like that. Have you been practicing that voice too?
Oh, I've know those lyrics.
You've been doing it since high school, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing that since high school. The lyrics are different in Advent Children.
They are?
They are.
Oh, I didn't
He
know
was
that.
a bad entity.
Yeah. He was
Noli Monterey Mata De Dolorum Sephiroth. Dun 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 dun. It's different.
Which, by the way, I'm just going to have to... This is a great way to close out. I just want to take a second to recognize how much Final Fantasy VII has made its way into other properties. And, I mean, the Advent Children game, obviously. But, like, Smash Brothers.
I mean, this is one of the
Kingdom
most
Hearts.
inspirational games ever made.
Yeah.
Like it's on a small list.
Yeah. It's a lot of people's top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
Some even shorter than that. I mean, the original is my favorite game of all time.
Me too.
Huh?
Me too.
Yeah. It's a fantastic game and always will be. And I appreciate when remakes do not erase the need to play the original. Much like XCOM did.
Yeah. I would say perhaps to go out on a bit of a vexing statement that the issues that they're making an allegory for of saving the planet from corporations that are draining its lifeblood, and its lifeblood is literally the souls of people and stuff, that they're destroying the planet for money. Those allegories are just as relevant today, if not more so, than they were 30 freaking years ago. However old the game is.
So, there was a similarity between this and Cyberpunk, and that was that the governments of the world no longer have power, and that one massive company takes over everything, becoming an oligarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because that was one thing that I really liked. They made it the Republic of Junon.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the country that has started the war against Wutai. And out of the ashes of the war on Wutai, the Republic of Junon was no longer existent anymore. And the Shinra Power Company was the new government.
So, the real life inspirations to these things of corporations controlling the government or being the government and draining the planet of its ability to support life. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. In fact, it's worse now.
Yeah.
So, we're going to leave this out on a disappointing note. Welcome to the middle.
Welcome to the middle.
Okay. Anyway. Thank you very much for listening to RGCWV, Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. Thank you very much for listening to us ramble and hearing all of our game theories on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you watch more. You can hit like, subscribe, and even share this on any social media garbage platform that you decide to share it on. Leave a comment. Send me a text message, 304-566-9777. And now, welcome to the end.
Welcome to the end.